We begin in the Midwest this morning, where millions are preparing for what could be the coldest temperatures in more than 2 decades. After a powerful storm pounded the region with snow, wind chill in parts of Illinois could make it feel like 50 below zero. The polar vortex from the Arctic is expected to make Chicago and Minneapolis colder than parts of the Arctic. Houston police officers came under gunfire Monday afternoon while serving a drug search warrant in a residential neighborhood. Police say 2 officers sustained gunshot wounds to the neck. 2 other officers were also struck by bullets, along with a 5th officer injured inside the home. Police say 2 suspects were killed. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has officially invited President Trump to deliver his second State of the Union address in the House chamber next Tuesday. During the partial government shutdown, Pelosi cited security concerns and told the president she wanted to wait until the government reopens. President Trump has accepted the speaker's invitation. And now closer to home, visitor centers in Yellowstone National Park are open again for the first time in more than a month. The centers reopened as park workers started returning to the job following the government shutdown. That means backcountry permits can be obtained once again for remote areas of Yellowstone. Fees are once again being collected at the gates. Park managers say there is a lot of work to do, like snow removal and safety checks of facilities that were closed during the past month. Glacier National Park employees are also returning to work. Officials say park employees had a meeting Monday morning to address what areas of the park need attention most and formed a plan to execute this summer. Luckily, the winter months are not the park's busiest time of the year, only seeing around 10,000 visitors during the cold months compared to millions during the summer. Snow plows are now able to clear off the roads, and the visitor center and restrooms are being readied for visitors. During the shutdown, there were reports of drone activity and off-leash dog walking in the park. Staff wants to remind everyone that off-leash dog walking is not permitted and pets are not allowed on trails as it disturbs the wildlife in the park. No jail time for a former Roberts High School head basketball coach who pleaded guilty to endangering the welfare of a child following reports that he had previously kissed a 15-year-old girl. Instead, John Wayne Payovich will go through counseling. He changed his plea last Thursday to guilty. Payovich was charged back in August for having romantic contact with a female student last year at his home and her home. He served as the boys' head basketball coach. Payovich paid an $85 fine and is ordered to attend regular counseling sessions focused on establishing age-appropriate boundaries for the rest of his 12-month sentencing. And on Monday in the Montana legislature, Montana's Superintendent of Public Instruction spoke on a variety of school-related bills moving through the 66th session. She spoke in support of Senate Bill 132, which would say students cannot give consent for sexual relationships with school employees. Lloyd Barris, the man charged in the murder of Broadwater County Sheriff's Deputy Mason Moore, is back in a Helena courtroom this week. This week is a continuation of a December hearing to determine if Barris should be forcibly medicated to make him fit stand to trial. Barris was found unfit to stand trial in June of last year by the Montana State Hospital because of mental health disorders. On Monday, the court heard testimony from a psychiatrist, an expert on substance dependence and personality disorders. The hearing is expected to continue today. An Arizona woman will spend 5 years in prison after she admitted to driving 10 pounds of methamphetamine to Billings for sale. U.S. Attorney Kurt Almy says Leticia Tyrell pleaded guilty to possession with intent to distribute meth. Tyrell was identified by a confidential informant who arranged for a shipment to Billings. Back in June, agents learned she had arrived at a Billings hotel and arrested her. Agents found 10 pounds of meth in her vehicle, which is the equivalent of more than 36,000 doses. Tyrell told investigators she needed money and was supposed to be paid $5,000 for the trip to Billings. Almy says she told investigators she had rented the vehicle and obtained the box of what she believed to be meth from an unknown man in Phoenix. Meanwhile, a California resident is sentenced to 7 years in prison after prosecutors say he mailed the meth from California to Sidney, Montana. Raymond Fitch pleaded guilty to the crime. The investigation began in August of 2017 when the Montana Division of Criminal Investigation received information that 2 people from Sidney had been receiving regular shipments of meth by mail from a source in California. The U.S. Postal Service observed a package addressed to one of them from California with the strip mall as the return address. Investigators searched the package and found 54 grams of meth inside, which equals more than 400 doses. Now we go to Missoula's Rattlesnake neighborhood, where 2 mountain lions were euthanized after a dog was attacked and killed. Fish, Wildlife and Parks spokeswoman Vivica Krauser says the agency was called in for assistance after the attack on Saturday and brought hounds to track the trail of the mountain lions.
There was one lion that was still in the immediate vicinity and then another one not that much further out. So being able to get on a fresh trail is really important to be able to respond efficiently and be able to complete the story as to what happened.
Krauser added it is common this time of year to see mountain lions on the outskirts of town as they are hunting and will come down to the valley bottoms where there's less snow. In this incident, FWP feels their choice to euthanize the big cats was safest for all involved. Krauser added it is not common for mountain lions to attack house pets as the big cat's natural prey is mostly deer. A massive snowslide on the road to Red Lodge Mountain stopped cars in their tracks, but no one was injured. Fresh snow and howling wind made for perfect avalanche conditions Monday morning. A Q2 viewer took this picture about 1 mile below the lodge, reporting the snow covered the entire road. It took crews most of the day to clear it up. Red Lodge Mountain saw more than 50 inches of new snow in the last week, with 9 inches falling the night before this avalanche. Monday was the 10th day in a row for reports of natural or human-triggered avalanches in Montana. More than 16 natural and human-triggered slides were reported on Saturday and Sunday alone. On Friday, a skier was killed in an avalanche in the Tobacco Root Mountains. From the 66th session in Helena, the state legislature heard a bill that would ask Montana voters to decide whether to get rid of daylight saving time in the state. But it had far more opposition than support at Monday's hearing before the Senate State Administration Committee. Republican Senator John Esp of Big Timber is a sponsor of Senate Bill 153, which would put a referendum on the 2020 ballot to decide the issue. He said many voters in his southern Montana district would prefer to have one time zone and not switch between standard and daylight saving time. But a ranch manager and lobbyist for truckers and electricians opposed the idea. They said sporting events and practices in the spring, summer, and fall take advantage of light into the late evenings, and so does the tourism industry.
This bill would single out Montana to be on its own time for 8 months of the year. So the contractor with a shop in Wyoming is now having to deal with a time change just working between Montana and Wyoming. For the contractor doing business in North Dakota, already an hour later, now for 8 months out of the year, the time will be 2 hours different.
The committee will vote later on the bill. A new report on Billings' One Big Sky project details the potential development. Among the 500 pages, the report compares 22 different convention centers around the region. Montana Station, as it's proposed in One Big Sky, would be even larger than the Tacoma Convention Center. Along with that, the report anticipates that Billings will see a 6% growth in population in the next 5 years, with the largest age group in the 25 to 34 range. And if approved, One Big Sky could garner $1 billion in state reimbursement dollars within just 10 years of its existence. Big Sky Economic Development Director Steve Arviskow was present at Monday's public Q&A session and shared his thoughts on the next steps.
Now the questions are bubbling up. What's the economic development tool look like? How does that work? What are the components of the Catalyst project? How will it impact my neighborhood? And what does the housing development downtown look like? How are you paying for all this? All those really good kind of questions. If we can't rely on a statewide economic development tool, can we use our existing suite of economic development tools? It'll be a much harder path, but we can't walk away from that important economic development strategy of the redevelopment of our downtown core.
Big Sky Economic Development is pushing for a legislative measure to help, but Billings lawmaker Roger Webb has yet to unveil his sponsored bill that would serve as a legislative tool for One Big Sky funding. Back here in Billings, Bob Seeger and the Silver Bullet Band are set to take the stage at Metro Park tonight. Staff at Metro Park are trying a few new things to enhance the experience. Express security check will be offered at the northeast entrance of the arena for concert goers without any bags. Electronic signs will offer some direction for cars heading into the parking lots. For those that end up with faraway parking spots in the lower lots, golf carts will offer you a ride back to your car. Or if you're taking a hotel shuttle or ride service, you can catch a ride at the lower sidewalk of the arena. And with the show starting at 7:30, Metro Park got the okay to open the doors half an hour earlier than usual at 6, giving attendees an hour and a half to get in and get settled.
4,000 or 5,000 people an hour is okay. When we have 9,000 plus people coming to this arena with the general rush hour traffic going down the busiest street in Montana and the bench connector, that extra half hour for the screening and everything that goes into it just makes a world of difference.
And for those of you not going to the concert, Dutcher suggests avoiding the bench connector and staying on Main Street as they plan to close off the connector after the show until the upper lot is empty. Another new restaurant soon to open in Billings promises customers comfort food and a style of cuisine that makes one feel at home. Construction is already underway for Odd Duck, which will open off 17th and Grand in West Park Promenade next to Ganan's Flowers. Those starting the restaurant say the ingredients will be locally sourced. Head chef Travis Stimson has worked in a variety of Billings restaurants, including Walker's, Lilac, and Local. He's teaming up with the owners of Yellowstone Fitness and Hardin Chevrolet. Stimson says the food goes beyond farm to table, so he's calling it Earth to Plate, where patrons will find comfort foods that span the globe. They plan to open in the spring of 2019. In the Billings Heights, Pizza Ranch made its grand debut in the Four Seasons Plaza Monday, the largest Pizza Ranch location in the country. It boasts an 11,000 square foot dining area and 2,700 square foot fun zone with arcade games. General Manager Brooke Watson is excited for the restaurant to get involved in the Billings community.
So thankful to be up here in the Heights, and one thing about Pizza Ranch is they're really a huge supporter of the community, and as we get going here we will definitely be doing our community impact fundraisers that we've done on the West End for years, so engaging in the community and getting them involved in raising funds for their events and things like that. So we'll probably start those in April, and we're just really excited to be a part of the community and the great response from Billings and as a whole.
This is the second Pizza Ranch location in Billings. The other is on King Avenue West.